begin by saying, in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided, and if any member here has reason to believe the meeting's being held in violation of the act, they should state so at this time. Okay, hearing none, I'd ask you to all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, our first order of business is to establish a roll call. So if the secretary would please read the roll.
Mr. Becker is excused tonight. Mr. Testa?
Here.
Mr. Carroll?
Yes.
Ms. Pisagno?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson-Stridick?
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson? Ms. Decker?
Here.
Mr. Hammerin?
Yes.
And Mr. Kurtz is also excused tonight.
All right, so roll call's been made. We've established that we have a quorum and we're open for business. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the meeting of January 12th, and those were circulated prior to the meeting, and I think everybody's had time to review them, but if there are any corrections, you should offer them, but I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the minutes of January 12th, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Ms. Pisagno and seconded by Mr. Carroll. Roll call vote on the minutes, please.
Mr. Carroll?
Yes.
Ms. Pisagno?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson-Stridick?
Yes.
Mr. Stevenson? Ms. Decker?
Yes.
Mr. Hammerin?
Yes.
Mr. Testa?
Yes. All right, the minutes have been duly adopted. Our next item of business on the agenda is the payment of bills. There is one item that was in your packet, and that concerns the approval of proposed payment of bill for legal services. And so I would ask for a motion for the payment of that bill, please.
So moved.
It sounded like a tie to me, but we'll say B moving and Kevin seconding the motion. Okay, roll call vote on the payment of the bills, please.
Mr. Carroll?
Yes.
Ms. Pisagno?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson-Stridick?
Yes.
Ms. Decker?
Yes.
Mr. Hammerin?
Yes.
Mr. Testa?
Yes. The next item is resolutions, and these are the resolutions that result from our actions at the prior meeting. And I'm going to read them individually, but we'll vote on them as a group. So the resolutions that are going to be up for adoption concern Sokol, that is Block 1014, Lot 1301, Resolution 2026-02, Swain's Hardware, Block 1040, Lot 2.01, Resolution 2026-3, SA Properties LLC at Block 1026, Lot 602 and 7, Resolution 2026-04, Cooker, Block 1131, Lot 1, Resolution 2026-05, and Locale Stockton LLC, which is Block 1064, Lot 17, and that being Resolution 2026-06. So a motion, please, for the adoption and voting on those resolutions.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, so that's Ms. Decker on the motion and Mr. Carroll on the second. Can we have a vote, please?
Mr. Carroll?
Yes.
Ms. Pisagno?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson-Stridick?
Yes.
Ms. Decker?
Yes.
Mr. Hammerin?
Yes.
Mr. Testa?
Yes. Next item of business, before we get on to the new applications, are the passing on the applications that are approved or denied in review by the review committee. And I'm not going to read all of them. You can see them all. You've all had a chance to look at them and look at the actions of the review committee. So I'm going to simply ask for a motion to approve or ratify the actions of the review committee with respect to those applications.
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Janice and seconded by Tom.
Mr. Carroll?
Yes.
Ms. Pisagno?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson-Stridick?
Yes.
Ms. Decker?
Yes.
Mr. Hammerin?
Yes.
Mr. Testa?
Yes. Well, that finishes up our summary material, and we move into our applications. So new applications and on the docket. So first up will be an application submitted by the City of Cape May and West Cape May, and this relates to the First Avenue municipal right-of-way, which is the subject of a sought pedestrian and bicycle bridge. I'd note for those here that a local newspaper reported that we would get to this application on November 9th, but we've managed to beat that deadline by 9 months.
Yes.
So I think we're ahead of the curve for that. Would the applicants please identify themselves?
Paul Dietrich, City Manager and City Engineer for Cape May City.
And Anthony Chadwell from Remington and Vernick, Borough Engineer for West Cape May.
Thanks, guys. Would you please present the application? Oh, I should say one more thing. Since this is a municipal application, and you know that we're normally here and we pass on applications for whether or not they get issued with a certificate of appropriateness, our ordinances specify that in the case of applications by the municipality, we are doing this for purposes of rendering an advisory report on the application. But you know that.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So what we're here for this evening for is a joint application, obviously, between Cape May City and West Cape May. This is probably our first application, at least that I've had to present to, where we've had a joint municipality. Obviously, this isn't really having the jurisdiction for the north side of Cape Island Creek, but this is for a pedestrian bicycle bridge across Cape Island Creek on First Avenue, and as it would extend, I guess, into West, and it would land over on West Grant side and West Cape May. This is to improve bicycle and pedestrian safety as we would move back and forth on across that area. This concept has been reviewed both at the council here in Cape May City, has been reviewed at West Cape May at several public meetings at both municipalities, as well as the city's Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. And all have gotten favorable comments from all those boards. Obviously, from the public, there's pros and cons, I think, that you'll see on both sides from the public comment. What we're proposing is essentially it's a 10-foot wide single-span bridge that will span, and then there'll be approach spans on the Cape May City side. Most likely, initially it was going to be a paved cartway up to the bridge, but it now is looking like, just because of there's some unstable soils, that there will be paved for a small portion, but then have to be maybe a boardwalk at grade. So it's not really a boardwalk, but it'll be a timber boardwalk grade, similar to the boards that you would have saw around Convention Hall, the tropical hardwood. That tropical hardwood obviously will then continue as a surface across the bridge. The bridge material itself, it's a arch bridge. Now, the arch is more defining of the style of the construction of the superstructure itself, not in the sense that it's what most people could think of an arch bridge. It has a big swooping arch to it underneath of it, but the camber in the bridge really, there's only going to be about 8 to 10 inches of rise, I'll say, from where it leaves the ground, reaches its highest point, and then comes back to ground. So from an arch standpoint, it's really defining the type of the structure, not that it's really creating that much of an arch, so to speak, in its form. You'll see more of the arch of the form of the actual structure. The structure itself, if you look at the fourth page in the packet that was submitted, that's a typical rendering of what the bridge will look like. It's a weathering steel type of a construction, and like I said, it'll have a timber tropical hardwood decking. It's not to propose to have any amenities along the bridge. There's not going to be benches or overlook areas or anything like that. It's a simple bridge to move people and bicycles from one side to the other. It's not meant to be a place to hang out, fish, or do those kinds of things. It's just really for the movement of people back and forth. Trying to hit There will be two-way traffic on the bridge. It does meet the design standards under the DOT for two-way traffic and mixed traffic, so bicycles and pedestrians to move in both directions. The width of this 10-foot wide does meet those requirements. From a historical standpoint, we're in an area of Kimei City that I do not believe there's any key or contributing structures on that block. So it's all really in a non-contributing neighborhood, so to speak. And really, we're here, it's really, the structure really is outside of the district to the extent that it's, crossing from the one side of the, outside of the city. So it's not really within the district per se. But because it's within the National Historic District, we're here. I think I hit all of the major points. I don't know. I think I hit everything right.
Anything else to add?
No, other than this is conceptual, and we still need to go for NJDEP permitting, so I don't believe the style will change, but it might get shifted by a couple of degrees or feet.
I think we're probably just going to be rendering an advisory report, so we're not going to distinguish between our normal conceptual and final approval. So what you get here tonight is it with respect to the advisory report. But so nothing else from West Cape May that you need to or want to add to the presentation from Cape May City?
Nope, Paul pretty much covered all the design elements and, the widths and length of the bridge and two-way traffic.
Yeah,
So he pretty much covered it.
two-way traffic for bicycles.
For bicycles.
Bicycles and pedestrians.
There will
What's
be,
the stand with respect to other vehicles? Like
so low-speed
low
vehicles
speeds?
will not be allowed, and we'll put barriers to entry, like a bollard, removable bollards on either side to dissuade or disallow anybody from approaching the bridge.
So I'd like to open it up to the commission and just go around and have comments and questions from them before we take any further action. So Kevin, can we start with you?
What's the lighting plan?
So at this point, we don't have a specific lighting plan. I would anticipate at the ends, at the street ends, there could possibly be a street light at those locations. There's no planned, I'll say, overhead lighting across the bridge. The towns could look in the future to maybe put some LED lighting on maybe the bottom chord of the, just to maybe throw a little bit of light onto the deck surface so that, you can see as you might walk or bike across it. But there's no intention for overhead light or a standard, especially because along that view shed, it's not something we want to put lighting up in the air.
Well, it seems to me, you'd want some kind of lighting at the ends just for directional purposes. If the objective is to get bicyclists and pedestrians off the street, you got to be able to find it. So, to me, it would make some logical sense to have some kind of an entry and exiting lighting. And, given the span from one end to the other, I probably would say it makes some sense to put some lighting on the bridge facing downwards, not, if we're serious about the dark sky initiative, you don't want light going in all directions, bothering the neighbors, going up into the sky. It's just something to, ensure their footing is okay. I think one of the problems we have here in Cape May as it is, pedestrians go down some pretty dark streets at night. So it'd be nice to have some kind of lighting that's just, for their own safety, basically.
Get your cell phone.
Get your cell phone.
I'm sorry, did I just hear you say, get
I don't think I
yourself?
had that in mind.
All right. Well, that's an interesting observation. B, would you like to?
No problems with it. My concern is also safety. It's got to be well illuminated.
And you want to press maybe your button on your mic?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I've no problems with it, other than safety. It's got to be well illuminated for the safety of everyone and for consideration of the people around.
It looks like a good plan, and I
Janice?
agree, the safety is probably the only real concern.
And Lorraine, I'll start with you coming in this way.
I've seen this plan, I think, 3 times now, and I think it's a great plan. Great plan for safety to get people off the street, but also, as you were talking about, and we discussed a little bit before about the lighting, the down lights, so
I knew your comments would be short.
that's it. That's all I have.
I would like to know a little bit more about signage on West Cape May and Cape May that would help bikes on any route, what they are, to steer them into this, to avoid the Sunset Boulevard and also Broad Street.
So once this bridge is completed, obviously, we'll be amending, from the Kimmy City side, our bike route mapping and different things to kind of encourage people to make sure that they're using these routes, especially when the county constructs the new path along Sunset Boulevard. I think that's going to really make this bridge really important to have, because then you're going to get a lot of visitors, I think, and people from Kimmy City wanting to go over towards Kimmy Point, towards that area. So this is going to make it much more easy to navigate that area instead of trying to go down Broadway. So we'll probably have, besides amending our overall plan, we'll have the markings on the street for share the road and stuff like that. As you would go from down First Avenue from the end all the way down to Beach to connect into the similar striping that you see along Beach Avenue.
So this is going to tie into a road improvement for Sunset Boulevard done by the county?
Yes, so the counties, if you haven't heard, along, I guess it'd be the southerly side, essentially the Nature Conservancy side, they're building an off-road path. A lot of it's going to be a walkway, an elevated walkway along the entire stretch of Sunset Boulevard.
Okay, so this feeds into that.
Yes,
And that'll also be a two-lane to two-way thing.
Yes.
So we really get everything off there.
Yep.
So we're really keeping people away from the worst intersection in town, Broad and Sunset Boulevard.
yes. That's where we really don't want them biking, yes.
Thanks, Paul.
Yep.
And I'll piggyback off Paul's comments. On West Cape May side, from East Grant all the way to Sunset along First, we have approval from DOT as part of a municipal aid project to include some bicycle improvements and sharrows and signage from West Cape May side of the bridge all the way to Sunset. So we'll be way ahead of the game when Sunset is complete. We'll already have all of our bike path established.
Okay.
Ms. Decker?
I'd like to laud both municipalities for cooperating. I'm a strong supporter of pedestrian trails. I worked on a big tri-municipal trail plan in the past, as Paul knows. I think this is great for safety. It's just going to be a wonderful thing. And I just have a question about the color of the bridge, because you have three depictions here.
So it'll be that top one, it's a brown, it's a weathered steel. That's what the appearance will look. Also, if you look at the last page, that's more like what it would look like today.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Well, it falls on, I'm sorry.
One last question.
Yeah, sure.
Just have the two cities worked out a maintenance plan for upkeep and repair and for?
That wouldn't be,
Those kind
until we get to the final, what the bridge is actually going to be and finally be, then we'll sit down and discuss those issues.
Okay.
But you would have some sort of agreement between the two municipalities as to.
Yes.
I mean, you're not going to stop halfway across the bridge. It's incumbent on me to put in my few comments on it. I should say that the municipalities brought this in front of the review committee for discussion, and several other parameters were gone over. And it's what to be said about it. It's a very thoughtful design. It's attractive. Things that were made in terms of where the railings would be located, how they would be shaped, have all been taken into account. So this one really comes across very, very well. I will say that if we do have a favorable advisory report, some of the things, for example, such as the lighting we've talked about, such as talking about signage, probably would be addressed in comments as part of the advisory report to you. So would anybody care to make a motion with respect to this project?
I'll make a motion.
So motion is made for the issuance of a favorable advisory opinion on this project.
I'll second it.
Okay, made by Ms. Decker, seconded by Ms. Wilson-Stridick. Roll call vote on the proposal, please.
Mr. Carroll,
Yes.
Ms. Pisagno,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson-Stridick,
Yes.
Ms. Decker,
Yes.
Mr. Hammerin?
Yes.
Mr. Testo?
Yes,
Thank you very much.
it's done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Favorable but advisory opinion to be issued.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's move on to the next application, if we could, please. That is Kramer of 1232 Lafayette Street, and it is a non-contributing property, and it relates to the installation of solar panels. So could we have the applicant here? I'm sorry, are you going to present the application? Does he have authority to do this?
Did we get an email from the property owner for this?
I believe so.
Okay.
So, we did?
I believe so, yes.
I-
Yes.
I think we understand that you've been authorized, so would you come make a presentation? Thank you. Whenever owners and others aren't present, we try to close the loop to be sure that the person sitting there making the application is authorized to do it. And sounds like you are. So would you please go ahead?
Can we get your name for the record?
Okay.
Kelly Wilson?
And
Yeah, and you're from EMT Renewables? Okay.
well, is there anything you'd like to say other than the papers that were submitted? Oh, okay, so the way this works is this is a full hearing of the Historic Preservation Commission, and what you're here for is the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness, which is what entitles you to go ahead with the project among any other city approvals. And you've submitted, you being you, I guess, and the owners, have submitted an application, and it shows what you intend to do, what you intend to install, where you intend to install it. So that is what we're here to pass on.
Ultimately, we're installing solar installation, power on the back of the property. Not to be visible from the street, we have to do a street view, which I know is an issue.
It may, correct, you're absolutely right.
So in this instance, I did have another project, which was not that. But in this instance, as far as I'm aware,
Right, well, this is a non-contributing property, and the view that is generally taken by us is that there absolutely can't be a visible presence of the panels seen from the main streetscape, and depending on the back of the block, also from other public rights-of-way. And I guess I should ask if anybody has further questions about this, and looked at the presentation, and
I do.
start off with you.
The property, the back of the house is a dormer, I believe, right? A large dormer. It spans the width of the house. There are three dormers on the front of the house.
Right, I believe that's the Lafayette Street side.
Yeah, on the other side of the house, the back side of the house where the panels would go, I believe there's a dormer there, a wide dormer. And if you are on Washington Street between 1233 and 1237, there is essentially a lot. It's either split or it's owned by one of those two houses, I don't know which. But this is plainly visible from Washington Street, looking at the house. And that's a problem with our standards. So I didn't know if you had any thoughts about that or had a way of, further concealing it, but it is not just the street view of the property, it is all the surrounding public thoroughfares as well.
Can you turn your mic on, please?
Yeah, that would help.
Kevin, do you have a microphone?
I do, and it's on.
Oh, okay. It matches your shirt.
So anyway, I took the time to look at it. If you get on Google Maps and you pull up 1233 Washington or 1237 Washington, you'll see this lot that's kind of between the two properties. And looking through there, you're looking onto the back of the house in question, and it is plainly visible. So
Yeah, I don't know if there are any other points to be made,
Well,
unless
I think
Janice.
the point is that it would be understandable if you thought it's not visible from Lafayette, which is the street it's facing, and it wouldn't be. But unfortunately, Washington Street is an important street as well, and I drove over there. It's very visible from Washington Street. So our design guidelines talk about the streetscape from both sides. And from Washington Street, you would be able to see the solar panels. I took a picture of it, which would not really meet our standards.
Okay, so is there,
That's a
Anybody
large-
else want to chime in here for additional?
I would like to say, we've had to turn an awful lot of these down, but we also are following things going on in the solar panel industry. And there's many attempts to make things look like an existing roof or just a new roof that can blend right in, to get solar in without having the visual destruction. So I think if we're not able to pass this tonight, if the homeowner waits a little bit and keeps their eye on the market out there, I really think you're going to see things that we would be able to do that would blend in with a roofing surface and have the solar energy applied with it as well. I'm very hopeful along that line from the things that I'm seeing and reading. Unfortunately, there's nothing like that available right here now.
Same thing. Yeah, this is one of those situations where, had there been a large structure on Washington Street blocking the view over to Lafayette, one might think that that back end is appropriate for a location of solar panels. And you've successfully shown that nothing can be seen from Lafayette. Unfortunately, with that open lot, the streetscape view from Washington has a direct view of the back of the house. So that is something we just can't approve under those circumstances. And while I'm hopeful you'll have the opportunity to have a redesign, and maybe somebody will build something there, but under these circumstances, those panels cannot be put on the backside of the house, simply because they would be visible clearly from Washington. And I don't know procedurally if you would like to offer this for a vote, or whether the application might be withdrawn.
Based on what I'm hearing, and this is a kind of a general question for the board, because in certain cases, we've recognized that there is visibility from another vantage point, public right-of-way, and maybe considered, is it worth the applicant retooling the application, maybe look at alternative places on a roof? But given this arrangement and the fact that there's a clear shot pretty much from Washington, there's probably not going to be an opportunity for retooling here unless something really substantially changes, like new materials come out, or maybe there's some structure that comes up and blocks that back portion. So am I hearing that correctly?
I think the physical nature of the way the property is arranged is such that you either see it from Lafayette or you see it from Washington.
That's right.
With that open, and there's nothing else that you can go left or right or sideways to put panels, as I understand it, of any significance.
So
on the roof.
the reason I say that is for Mr. Wilson, his client is not here, but he's been authorized to present this. The question you may get is, well, did you ask them this or that? They thought about, is there another way to retool this now? And without any substantial changes to the vantage point from Washington Street, the answer to that is probably no. So and it might be cleaner for you, rather than requesting to table this, that you just ask the board to vote, and then you get a clean decision from the board to take back to your client.
yeah, that is okay.
Okay.
All right, well, then let's go to a motion on it.
It would be a
Motion to
motion,
approve.
motion in the affirmative, and then you,
Motion to approve.
and then a vote however you like.
I will make a motion that the application be approved.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Mr. Carroll, seconded by Ms. Stridick Wilson. Okay, so let's have a vote on the application's approval.
Mr. Carroll?
No.
Ms. Bisagno?
No.
Ms. Wilson Stridick?
No.
Mr. Stevenson? Ms. Decker?
No.
Mr. Hammerin? No. Mr. Testa?
No.
So one thing we should tell you, we have a review committee that meets on Tuesday mornings. It's very educational. So if you're going to be doing a lot of business in Cape May, it would probably be a great idea for you to come in and talk to our chair, John, and Jim, you're on it too.
And Kevin sits on it. It alternates
We
from
have
time to
had other solar panel applicants come in, get this bad news that they can't put them on, and then work to find a way to, fit them within the standards.
Okay. So,
So you have essentially a denial of your application.
yeah, I understand that.
And not because it was ill-prepared and not well presented, and not because it has bad equipment or anything, it's just the position of the house and its location so that it's visible from two major streets.
That lot is one of the few left on Washington Street. I grew up like 3 houses down from that, and it has been empty for a long time. But I myself, I'm waiting for what Mr. Carroll says, when the tiles look more like a roof, and then I may use them in my own home. But that lot has just always been empty. I don't know that it's going to be sold or filled very quickly at all.
Okay, I
Okay.
understand.
Thank you for your
Thank you
attendance
for your
and
time.
presentation.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to the next application, which is the Bray Family Partnership at 720 Washington Street. This is a key contributing structure, and the application relates to off-street parking. I'll also mention that for the further applications here, we are going to, before we go to votes on them, open the applications for comments from the public, should there be anybody here who wishes to comment. So
Mr.
if,
Chair, could I just ask a question? Have these applicants been before the review committee for any discussion?
no, to the best of my knowledge, no.
Okay. Kevin would know. Okay.
So once you've got things set up and are seated, if you would please just turn on your mics and state your names and relationship to the project.
Green light.
Green light, it's the better one.
I'm Barbara Wild, and this is my daughter Hamilton.
Good
Wild.
evening.
And actually, I restored this other mansion when I was in my 20s. And it was dilapidated, and we did everything from hand milling the siding and did
Right,
everything.
excuse me, before you do go into the presentation, could we have identification of the other people here, too?
I'm Brian Newswanger with Atlantis Architects. Sorry, there we go. Brian Newswanger with Atlantis Architects.
And I'm Paul Cates with Cates Schneider Engineering, the project engineer.
Thank you. Please.
I'm sorry.
You were, I interrupted you as you were beginning to give us some background, I believe.
Okay. Basically, I am the steward of this property. And when you're dealing with a property that's this special, and I think Tom Carroll is probably more familiar with it than anybody here, you're a steward. You're passing it on to the next generation. And from the very beginning, our whole idea was to restore it impeccably, which we have done. And everything we're looking at, and I know there's some concern about parking there, but please understand that 14 of these grass pavers have been there for over 30 years. You cannot even see them. And I will make sure that you cannot see that within 6 months. And I am very concerned. If you have a concern, I want to hear it. I want to address it.
They've been existing in that area for that period of time.
I'm sorry, so you're pointing out that there are pavers on site now?
Yeah, there is
14 of them have been the ones that
drivable
are.
grass area.
Yeah. You can't see them. The grass grows in them. You cannot see. I can take you over there. We can show them. And actually, I actually thought your engineer was somebody, Craig Hurlis.
He is the city engineer.
He was the one who gave me the CO.
He is, excuse me, he's an engineer to the board, right?
Planning
He
zone.
was
board,
he gave me my CO. He can verify that. And you cannot see them at all. The grass grows right over them. They look great. I don't want to have that looking like, a parking lot at all. But unfortunately, your laws are what your laws are, and we're trying to abide by them.
So
Right. Do you want to pick up with the specific details in this?
I'll give you guys a project overview.
Please.
Yeah, so this is a color rendering of the site plan. As I'm sure you're all well aware, here's the southern mansion that fronts Washington Street, but it also has frontages on Jefferson and Corgi. The red brick is the current access with a loading zone. The gray is actually stone parking area. And then this green is what we're proposing. But as was stated, there is some existing grass block parking area in this area currently, but it's overgrown and it's no longer visible. But what we're proposing is to delineate parking spaces with parking blocks and then have that surface be grass block pavers. To meet the city's ordinance, we are also adding some lighting that is consistent with what's currently on the site, just a little more updated, but to meet the city's parking lot requirements. And so we currently have 24 spaces. We're adding 47 for a total of 71. And with the seating in the banquet area, we're required to have 69 with the B&B and the banquet. And so we're exceeding that by 2 spaces.
Which I take it is the reason why you have applications for variances up
Correct.
in front of the boards, and which is why you've applied for conceptual approval here tonight, because we will only grant approvals on a conceptual basis if there are other city approvals
Correct.
required after we pass on it.
Right. Sorry, I just came over this way.
Yeah, no problem.
Standing in the way for me to see it.
So that's kind of an overview. So most of the construction is going to be limited to this area, the frontage along Washington. And again, it will be those grass block pavers, supplemented with some additional landscaping and even some stormwater controls, which won't be visible.
Second drawing that you had there.
Yep.
Because I think there's a difference from what we have in our packet.
Yeah, so we originally proposed just kind of a standard light, but we
Yes.
have since modified it to be one consistent with what's currently on the site.
But that's,
That's different than what we have in our
yeah, that's
packet.
not in the application.
Correct.
Yeah. So you're talking about a lighting aspect in addition to the paver.
Yeah, so there should have been a lighting plan in the plan you received, but it was not an appropriate, it was a obviously less appropriate light. So that was kind of our initial design. We had just tossed that in there to meet the city's lighting requirements, but once we took a closer look at the plan, we modified it to this one. And
Do you have cut sheets on that?
I only brought with me this. I didn't realize that our attorney hadn't submitted this plan.
Okay.
Mr. Cates, yeah, just a question on the parking, and we don't deal with like parking variances here, but
Right.
just the orientation and location and amount of parking that you proposed, is this code compliant in terms of parking for the proposed use of this site, or do you still need to get variance relief?
We are looking for a parking variance for parking in the front yard, as well as the front yard setback is 20 feet, and we're proposing 10.
But the number?
But we are getting the current requirement for the use on the site, including the width of the drive aisle, et cetera.
Correct.
So it is code compliant for operational purposes as a parking lot.
And that's what I was just trying to get at, was the purpose of your design of this was to get
Right.
as much parking as possible.
Yeah, so we do meet all of the city's parking requirements with the exception of 20-foot setback from the street. We're only 10, which is consistent with the remainder of the parking and the surface, because the city actually requires a paved lot, and we're proposing grass block to minimize the visual aspect and make it more consistent with what's there.
And as you say, stormwater too, so it's a.
Yeah, and it's more
So
permeable.
we're not introducing additional runoff to the rest of the town.
And we are, as a part of that application with the city, we are proposing a significant amount of underground storage as well to collect that stormwater, so we're not creating stormwater issues out on the street, even given the fact that the grass block pavers absorb a significant amount of runoff. So. But as far as, yeah, and like I said, as far as, changes to the building, there'll be no changes to the building. It's all site-specific.
Well, and again, it's a key contributing building, so changes
Correct.
to that are extremely sensitive in our minds. I'm going to reverse the order of our comments. Instead of starting from left field, I'm going to start from right field on this, assuming that there really will be some comments to be made here. And I'm also going to say, as I said before, we are going to ask anybody who's here from the public and who wants to comment on it to do so before we proceed any further. So Lorraine,
Sure.
your show.
Okay. Just a couple of clarification things, because it's hard to see on this small site plan. So I'm wondering, do we need to have like a minimum scale? Because it is difficult to see. There is a hedgerow on Washington Street. Is that going to remain?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
going to remain, okay. Is, outside of the landscaping plan that I saw, actually, no, there wasn't one. It was only the grass paver detail.
I can answer that. I mean,
ahead.
we're not proposing a lot of landscaping as part of this because there's so much mature landscaping all the way already there that the intent of this is to protect the mature landscaping, as opposed to trying, removing it and supplementing it with additional. So we're really looking to minimize disturbance on the site, kind of keeping it to the grass area that's, essentially in that, between Washington and the building, and not disturb the mature landscaping.
And I would just mention, this is a conceptual application. So,
Yep.
so if there were a landscaping plan that were definitive, we would expect to see it in a final.
Understood.
I think the only other question that I have is, you have the blocks for the cars. Is that the only thing you're looking at, delineating each stall?
You mean with parking blocks?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. That's all I have at this point.
And I should mention, if I haven't said this before, that Lorraine Baldwin is our council liaison here to the HPC. She's here as a representative of council, and she sits with us to afford her expertise and to carry our messages back to council. She doesn't vote as part of the body, but we welcome the comments. Tom, you're next.
Okay, this business has been in business for quite some time, including the addition to the building that was approved a long time ago to give enough units to make the restoration of the main building and the whole thing worthwhile, which we all understand. Why do we suddenly need so many more parking spots?
It's honestly economically not viable. The amount of money that you have to spend to maintain a property like that, it doesn't work. And it's interesting because, well, this is kind of off but when I spoke to the New Jersey Trust, they were very, very to the point. Dorothy Guzzo was down, and she said, we want to make it as open as possible to the general public. We want them to be able to get in there. We want them to be able to appreciate historic preservation and understand why our tax dollars go to it and why it's important. You and I both know that if people walked in that building, most of these people, have you ever been in here? Most of you?
Long time.
It is stunning.
Before you did.
It is what people want when they come to Cape May, and they can't go in there unless they're renting a room. So the whole idea is, we want to preserve this in perpetuity. We want people to be like, wow, I want to be in there, I want to see it. And that's why we're trying to open it more to the public. This is, believe me, I could take you over there, I can show you the grass papers. You cannot see them. The grass grows in, they look great. I hate stuff that's ugly. I hate it. I've worked really hard for the past 30 years to make this place gorgeous. And right now, I'm looking at it, there's so much woodwork I have to redo. There's so much things I have to redo. This is a phenomenal plan that will open it and make it gorgeous and available to people. And that's all we're trying to do. And as little impact as possible. I mean, personally, I'm great at landscaping. My landscape is beautiful. And it is gorgeous there. I have 10,000 tulips. I have, crazy amounts of all kinds of stuff. I have original trees that were grown there. I have no problem working with you if you have really good suggestions, no problem whatsoever. But this is going to be an asset and showcase this building and make people understand. Why do you want historic preservation? You have people come in here and they're like, oh God, they're gonna make me do this, they're gonna make me spend this money. Here's a building and we're trying to keep it absolutely gorgeous and available to the public.
A long answer.
Sorry,
You-
sorry, Tom.
You're talking about the beauty of the building, and
Yes.
the grounds and everything.
Yeah.
And that is what attracts people.
Yes.
And everybody at this table knows what attracts people to Cape May.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the parking lots, it's the open space, the sidewalks, the gas lighting, the beauty of the architecture. You're acting as if it's going to look like this, but it's going to be full of cars right up against the building, up in front. I mean, if you need that much parking, those parking spots are all going to be filled, and it's going to have none of the presentation that you're talking about. It's going to be a parking lot that maybe is not paved, but is still a massive parking lot in the front, which is in violation of everything that you find in our standards. No parking in the front yard, side yard, screening things. I know these buildings are expensive to maintain. Maybe I'm not maintaining the mainstay anymore, but I'm sure working awful hard to maintain the physical estate. I know the problems. But every BB in this town and every restaurant, like the Washington across the street, operate very successfully without putting cars in their front yard. This is just, if we approved this and it happened, I would say it would be one of the worst things that we've seen in Cape May since the Windsor Hotel burnt down and Congress and the Admiral Building got torn down. It would be a devastation to the downtown, in violation of everything. It would probably even affect our National Historic Standards, and which we're always fighting to keep in. And it would violate everybody that before you who has come in and tried to sneak in, put in cars in the front anywhere, that we've had to say, you just can't do it. There's no way that you're going to convince me that this is an improvement to that property.
One thing, if I could address, we're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place in a sense, is, to be honest, we'd be happy, and I'm sure Ms. Wild would be happy to not do the
Sure.
parking. But the issue is the way the city standards read is to increase the intensity of use, to get more people, on the property, we need to increase the parking. And unfortunately, with this site, we have 3 front yards and no backyard. And so there's literally nowhere else for us to put it. And again, we don't think that the parking is going to be an asset to the building per se, but we see it as a necessary evil in a sense to gain approval with the board. So while we don't disagree, we're trying to do it in a manner that will minimize the impact and continue with the good stewardship of the lot while also meeting the city's requirements. So again, we're trying to balance that rock and a hard place,
Well,
and we're open to suggestions.
I think you're trying to minimize the expansion that you want to do by having more parking in there and more activities. And you're surrounded by neighbors all the way around you, small businesses, neighbors, that every time you've come in for something, there's been a lot of commotion about allowing it. And I bet there's some people out there right now that are thinking, please do not let this happen. I'm holding to the fact that it is in violation of so many things in our standards, including our overseeing the streetscape and the appearance of the buildings, not just your building, but the whole streetscape. This would be, with that whole front yard filled with cars, I would be embarrassed to walk out of my house and say I was on the HBC. I think this is just absolutely the worst request I've ever had to.
Tom, well, may I ask you to
Yes.
conclude your remarks, please?
I just recruited, I might be back.
Okay, not that we want to prolong this. And Judy, I'll ask you to go next, and I don't know whether you want to cite anything, because I do.
I would like to thank you very much for your stewardship of this key contributing structure. I mean, this is a long form, and you're mentioned on the form. It's wonderful that you've taken such good care of this property, and I know everyone on this board appreciates that tremendously. It's a very important building for Cape May. The grounds are mentioned in the long form as a critical part of this site, apart from everything Tom said, that we do not allow parking in the front. You do have considerable parking on the site already. How many spaces? 24 existing. I just can't imagine the impact this is going to have when this is filled with cars every weekend. I mean, if you
Yeah,
have two.
I don't recollect we've ever had a parking issue brought before us on an application by this applicant, so they are what they are now.
Oh, no, I think once before you had a request for the brick parking lot. I can't recall what it was. But again, I thank you for your stewardship of the property. I also could never vote for this. It's just clearly cited in our standards that it's not permitted in the historic district or anywhere to have front yard parking. What I would say is that there's going to be a new police building a block away, and there will be extra public parking there. And also, I would like to just reiterate what Tom said, that the Washington Inn has managed to operate all these years. They have off-site wedding. They have an off-site facility for weddings, and that's worked out really well for them.
The Washington Inn has plenty of weddings at their property too, and they have 0 parking, and they have 2 bars and a restaurant, and they have a large amount of tables in a very small building.
And they don't have 24 spaces.
I would love, if you would say to me, Barbara, you don't have to put this parking in. And
We don't have the authority to do
But
that.
we're not,
Exactly.
we're not really here to, we're not here to do that. We're here to pass on your application as it relates to our design standards. That's our function. And I'd like to continue on, but if nobody's going to read them, I'm going to read them first, okay? Our design standards, relatively new, 2023 adopted. This is the manual and the Bible by which we work and try to interpret applications and pass on them. And I just want to read to you on page 44, the standards relating to driveways and off-street parking. And in fact, I'm kind of surprised that the application would come in if you had read these standards. They say that locating new driveways and off-street parking as unobtrusively as possible to preserve historic streetscape. Parking should always be screened from the public thoroughfare. Locating off-street parking in front yards and visible side yards is not appropriate. Locating off-street parking closer to the street than the front facade of the main building is not appropriate. When something's not appropriate, and it's in the design standards, there's no way that we can vote to issue a certificate of appropriateness. It just doesn't happen. We can't make exceptions because it improves the business viability of the property, because you feel that it doesn't work in an obtrusive manner. This is a key contributing structure in the city of Cape May. I know because I have one myself. And I understand how important it is and the efforts that are made to rehabilitate it, bring it back to where it is. It is a valued treasure. It will only be deprecated by putting cars between Washington Street and the facade of that building. And that's the reason why we have standards.
Understood. And again, we did check the standards and we were sensitive to them, but again, we saw no alternative, so we're here to discuss it.
And I will say, and the rest of my commissioners can go on and say what they want to say, but this to me precludes us being able to grant this a certificate of appropriateness unless we change the standards. And I'm not, after all the time we spent working on them, I'm not about to do that. I'm sorry that it doesn't work in the favor of the configuration of your property or the uses that you intend to have. We always wish you success in that, but we simply can't pass this.
But since we're just discussing this, we have a pre-existing curb cut.
Yeah, we're not adding a driveway, there is a driveway there.
It isn't the aspect of the driveway.
Right.
It's the fact that between Washington Street and the facade of this building,
Understood.
there will be vehicles, several rows of vehicles.
What I was getting to was, is there a compromise to be met here
We can't.
with that curb cut and where we have existing car park to the far right of the site, if we were to reduce the parking that's immediately in front of the original building, which is the primary facade of this building?
I don't know the answer to that, but I would like my fellow commissioners to
Just
continue.
since we're having a discussion.
Yeah, no, I will, and we can
Is that a potential?
discuss it further, but yeah, I'd like to have
Mr. Chairman?
everybody else.
I could not agree more with Mr. Carroll. even though it sounds nice with the grass parking spaces, all we're really going to see is a sea of steel because these will be filled with cars. The whole aesthetic will be destroyed. And it is, we have sat here, and I know this is disappointing to you, but keeping our designation is an entire town project. There are many people who have come and wanted to park here or there or the other thing, and they all have to sacrifice for our streetscape and so that we are able to always keep our designation. That is very important. We just can't decide space by space, even though you might have need. We have to do this for the greater good. And the chairman is right. According to the laws, there is no way that we could pass this. Thank you.
I feel very much the same way. In fact, I took the time to go through and find the actual citations in our standards and so forth. I mean, it's clear HPC has the purview of reviewing streetscape, parking, landscaping, both in our own standards and in the Secretary of the Interior standards. Those are on page 13 in the book, if you want to see it. And the definition of streetscape does include both parking and landscaping. I would point out that the property report, I think, speaks very eloquently how beautifully the piece of property has been maintained. And, there actually is in there a section that says, the grounds fell into a state of neglect after World War II and about until the year 2000. It is now covered by perennial beds, some original, gardens, brick walkways, and outdoor furniture. And actually, if you look at our standards on page 45, it says, historically, Victorian front yards featured manicured landscapes of grass, meandering walkways, and flower bed borders, all enclosed by a low fence, in this case, a hedgerow. So it is exactly what we would hope for as a streetscape. And I think, of course, placing parking in that is just, I don't think consistent with anything we would agree to. It's not consistent with our standards. I think the purpose of this, if I'm not mistaken from the application you submitted, is applicant seeks approval for a bar or restaurant that is open to the public and which is proposed to be located inside the Southern Mansion, an existing tourist guest house located at the property. So I'm assuming that's one of the drivers for the additional traffic and vehicles and things like that. I mean, I have no comments whatsoever about the restaurant or the bar, but the parking aspect of it, I think, is clearly within our purview, and that I don't find it consistent with our standards.
Janice, your licks?
Well, you all know me and autos. But I would like to also mention that in our design standards under yards, it says the front yard is an extension of the public realm. So for this beautiful mansion, the front yard is part of that invitation visually to imagine Cape May in its heyday of Victorian beauty. I do remember when it had the
Horseshoe.
The horseshoe driveway, so that's an original curb cut.
And there was a curb cut on Corgi as well.
Right, and then there wasn't this huge addition on the back, which probably wouldn't have been approved. Well, it wouldn't have been approved under our design guidelines. So the efforts to make our historic buildings available to the public so that that wonderful memory device of being in an authentic historic building is available to as many people as possible. That's an argument that I agree with. We do want people in these buildings, and that's great that you're able to do that. But this building was built as a residence. It's in a primarily residential street. It wasn't built as a hotel. And the amount of parking and the use that you're saying is necessary is not what we would call an adaptive reuse. It's an expansion. And there's nothing about our design guidelines that would encourage us to say this is valid or supported. That's my comment.
Well, I'm just going to finish by saying that this is, it's not the pavers, it's the parking. It's not the pavers, it's the parking, and this is a property in which this is an inappropriate parking plan for purposes of preserving a key historic structure, and that's my view. But since this is a conceptual application, we're certainly willing to talk about anything you may want to
Well,
As I
bring
said,
up.
the dilemma we have is that to make this property viable, a certain amount of additional parking is advantageous, obviously, as opposed to dumping it onto the street. Because now, all of a sudden, all the neighbors have to suffer the consequences of that. So we're trying to be good neighbors as well as good stewards. So the question that I had was, is there a compromise to be had, since technically the front of the original building is truly the front facade, as opposed to that addition, which has kind of got a double-edged sword to it, the fact that it exists. Can we entertain the possibility of having parking just to that side and a higher hedgerow, which I think the hedgerow originally was higher, was more like 6 feet?
You're speaking of the east side of the property?
Yeah, yeah.
The
side
property
that-
closest
side
to
that I
Franklin,
pointed out earlier.
closest to Franklin Street,
Closest to the post
Post
office.
close to the post
Right.
office.
And that's where there's 14 spaces already there
Yeah.
that are on this, but they're actually already in existence.
So, yeah, and I think that's what we definitely value the board's opinion, and that's what we're looking, if there is a way to gain some additional parking.
If we were able to concentrate it just to that side of the
Yeah,
site
any-
and preserve that true vista of the original structure, which I understand is the primary focus of the building.
would these spaces be?
So that would be in this area, which is where, like I said, there's existing grass block pavers here now. So we would eliminate all the parking in front of the building, utilize this curb cut that's there now and driveway entrance, and then keep the parking to either one side or potentially both sides if you're amenable.
In other words, I think the applicant is sort of hearing what the board is putting down. But is there any scenario where they could gain some parking? And putting aside the proposed use, which will be dealt with by another board, just focusing on the appearance of parking, is there any iteration of this that might work? I don't know that everybody's ready to have that conversation tonight. Maybe it's a conversation for the review committee to dive into too, but I think that's what the applicant is proposing.
Yeah, that's what we're asking,
Yeah.
because, we do have parking in 2 other front yards, but it's not the technical front of the building front yards, And so, we were
Well,
trying to be
we
consistent.
have had some issues of not even allowing parking forward of the facade of a building,
Right.
which would be a matter we could discuss, but the tide isn't with you.
We
in-
understand
In
that,
terms
and-
of, I mean,
and that's what we're just
it
looking
it
for,
is
any
absolutely against you with respect to the front facade of that building, and there may be some room for discussion
Yeah,
with
and-
respect to the east side
And
of.
taking this feedback with us back to the board, obviously it may increase our burden with them, but I think absent of your comments, I don't think we would be able to get a parking variance.
Yeah, normally, we would, in the case of a conceptual application, we would go through this and we would grant a conceptual approval and we would apply conditions, but we aren't even close
Understood.
to having that kind of a discussion at this point. I'm going to suggest that the best thing to do here is to table this, if that's what that would bring upon a discussion at the review committee level for possible alternatives.
Is the applicant interested in having that conversation with it sounds like that didn't occur before tonight, and that's fine, but you
Yeah,
might
absolutely.
benefit from that.
No, I considered it.
Whether you consider it or not, Ms. Wilder, it's just, we had the discussion we had tonight, and you have the opportunity to request to table the application. You would waive the time for decision, and that will give you the time to discuss this with the review committee and potentially come back to the board with, a
Thank you.
revised concept. Is that something you're
Thank you
interested
very
in?
much, yes.
Okay, so before we go there, so the application essentially has been presented, and we've had discussion here, and I think we've said we're certainly not going to be granting conceptual approval. It's on the cusp of being tabled for further discussion. I'd like to invite any members of the public who are here and who want to make a comment about the application itself to present themselves, identify themselves, and make the comment. So you know how it works there, right?
Good evening, Kathy Healy. I am a private business owner like Barbara. And it is tough not to have private equity come in and take a beautiful property and try to commercialize it. And I'm here to support Barbara, not knowing I'm here to talk to you about a property I'm building for my daughters who grew up with Barbara's daughter. You know, we're a couple generations. I just like to make 3 comments, very short and very sweet. Number 1, we have to look at Congress Hall. They took over that whole parking lot that isn't, you can see it from Beach Drive, and they have built that out to hold like 80 to 90 cars. And you see it from the front of the facade. And we need to understand in these tough economic times to make this town 12 months of the year open and viable. Parking is Cape Main's #1 problem. So please respect and review what is being done at Congress Hall. I live 5 blocks from there, and every morning the blowers are blowing to keep the area manicured, but it's overwhelming. There's almost 90 cars parked, and you can see it from Beach Avenue. That's number 1. Number 2, the Washington Inn has the funeral homes, gigantic blacktop driveway that they use from 4 in the afternoon when there's not a funeral to park 50 or 60 cars back to back. So they are directly across the street from Barbara's facility. So you can talk about the neighborhood, but there's 50 cars parked behind the funeral home, almost 7 days a week. So I just want to make that clear. And lastly, as we are not allowed to use the more modern materials, it makes her properties every year more expensive to maintain. And you have to come up with a viable alternative. And expanding into the restaurant business is going to protect and enable people. We have to work as a community well aware of the costs to maintain these beautiful buildings. And I applaud a dear friend who has given her whole life and now raised her children in this town, and her daughter is running her business with her. This is truly the family generational reason I stand here as a 7th-generation owner, wanting my 3 children to have their own individual homes on Grant Street. I thank you, I appreciate you, and Barbara and Hamilton, you've done a great job maintaining the historic beauty of Cape May.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anybody else from the public who'd like to address this application? Okay, hearing none, I think we were on the road to a tabling of the application.
Can I add
I'm sorry, Tom,
another comment?
Please.
The parking that you have along the fence, along the post office.
Yes, sir.
Why is that not being used or has not been used for a long time? I go by that frequently and I never see cars there.
Honestly, you never really need it, even when we're having a very large event. In my opinion, north, when you go from Washington Street up, I mean, Washington Inn has 0 parking. We all know that, okay? We have a 24-hour post office directly next door. We have a bank. We have a real estate office across the street. We have a dentist office. None of them have parking at all. In fact, a lot of them use my parking.
Well, you're getting away from my question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Why?
I don't.
I mean, you're saying we really need this to survive and pay the bills on all this, and yet you haven't used it. And the entrance from the sideway, yes, there is a curb cut there, but the only thing I've ever seen go in and out of there is grass cutting equipment.
To your point, it's not that she feels she needs this for the proposed use. The city's requiring us to do this for the proposed use. So that's why we're here, is we're here in an attempt to meet the city's requirements. And yeah, what's there is kind of an overflow that hasn't been necessary.
Okay, now you're bringing in a proposed new use. Is that right? Is this going to be the bar and
Well,
restaurant?
that's part of their application to the other board.
Right, so
Okay.
as a component of that, we're required to provide, by the city to provide parking. So it's not that this is necessary now, but given the proposed use, the city's saying it's going to be necessary. So
Well,
it's
maybe
our
there
intent-
shouldn't be a proposed use that makes you violate all the rules that we have on the table.
Another board will decide
Yeah,
that or not.
and there are matters of business judgment here and the rights to use your own property, but you must understand that we have standards. And I just point out that the literal standards that I read are applicable now. They're what we use. They're not what we used 20 years ago or 15 years ago or the last time Congress Hall made an application to this board. This is what we use now. In any event, I'm going to entertain a motion to table. And have we asked them if they're going to waive the?
Just to clarify, I think the applicant would want to table indefinitely, waiving the time for decision, because if we made a decision tonight, we kind of know where that was going on the application as submitted. But if you table indefinitely and waive the time for decision, it would allow you to take that time to discuss with the review committee, maybe another iteration of this, and then return to the board later when you're ready. It essentially keeps you in queue, and then not requiring you to resubmit at that time. You can modify it.
It'll be considered the same application.
Exactly.
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay, so you agree to do that. So may I have a motion to table, please?
Can I make one more comment? Just
of
the
course you
fact that
can.
there is the pavers already in existence down there doesn't mean that the use of that for parking purposes today is approved. It's not at all. And I would just point out that the pavers actually do serve one other purpose, and that's oftentimes hard to reach for fire trucks, fire vehicles, and things like that. Pavers are put into use for that purpose. They grow over so you don't see them, but they actually provide support for the vehicle so that you don't wind up with a fire truck that's suddenly stuck in the mud if it's been, raining for the last 2 weeks or something like that. So I just
I mean,
wanna make sure
I
that we're
think
clear
the fact that they're
those pavers
applying,
are not-
that they're applying for parking that covers what we've seen in the application acknowledges that they don't believe they have the right
That's right.
to use it
And I
now.
just want to be clear
Yeah,
about that.
but in any event,
Those 14s were previously approved.
For parking.
certainly not here.
Well,
But let's not get into that since we have a motion to table. I think we do on the floor. Does anybody move?
I'll move we table it.
And a second, please?
I'll second it.
Okay. Moved and seconded by Mr. Hammer and Ms. Justin Stridick to table with waiver by the applicant of the determination period. Can we have a roll call vote on that, please?
Mr. Carroll?
Yes.
Ms. Bisagno? Yes. Ms. Wilson Stridick?
Yes.
Ms. Decker?
Yes.
Mr. Hammerin? Yes. Mr. Testa?
Yes. Okay. Review committee meets on Tuesdays. Make an appointment if you'd like to come in and have a discussion.
Every Tuesday?
Every Tuesday that we can.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Get a little settled here. We'll move on to the next application. It's conceptual. And okay, while you're setting up, I'll announce the next applicant here. It's TS 1015 Beach LLC, which is a contributing structure for which renovation and additions are proposed. Applicants have set up. Please turn on your mics, state who you are, your connection to the project, and present it. Thank you.
I am Deborah Sloan-White with Asher Sloan-White and Partners, the architect on the project.
My name is Bruce Worrell, and I'm authorized to speak on the behalf of my family and their property, 1015 Beach Avenue.
Thank you.
Can I get the spelling of your last name?
Worrall.
Worrell,
Yes.
Bruce Worrell. Deborah, we know.
I've been here before. An email was sent to you giving Bruce permission to speak.
Thank you.
Or authorization.
We know you're fastidious about that.
Just wanted to make sure. Do you just want to introduce the property and then we'll talk about?
Yes. This is my family's property, and it's occupied by multiple generations of my family, predominantly through the summer months. This serves as our family's private dwelling and is not rented to the public. I personally take pride in the stewardship of this property throughout the year, as I know this board takes pride in the stewardship of the historical integrity of Cape May. With that said, under the guidance of Deborah and her team at Asher Sloan-White, we are seeking approvals to expand while preserving the architectural character of the building.
The packets before you represent the project in its entirety, starting with the existing historic home. We are proposing to remove some windows that were added at one point and enclosed a porch. The goal is to reopen that porch as viewed from Beach Ave. Moving to the center of the lot, we do include a site plan, which is page A 1.0. If you are familiar with this property as seen from Stockton, there is an existing sunroom building, is the word we're going to use. According to the property report, it is not a contributing structure. We are requesting permission to demolish said sunroom building, thereby kind of re-exposing the existing historic garage, which will remain with new siding and potentially new windows. Continuing towards Stockton, we are proposing a new pool, a low brick wall as the property meets Stockton, and reorganizing the parking. I should have started by saying it was brought to my attention by your zoning officer on Friday that this project will need a variance. So we are here for conceptual, not final, as I had hoped. The variance will be related to the pool. So we will apply to the variance board, but we were hoping to still gain conceptual approval tonight. I did come before the board on Tuesday mornings twice, I believe. I met with the people present, Kevin included, to present the project. Trying to be a good neighbor on Stockton Ave, and in light of the conversation we just had regarding parking, there is an existing curb cut, there is an existing driveway. We are looking to create a little bit more parking for the family that resides here. As again, you can see on our site plan, we did document the adjacent buildings. We are proposing all new parking be located landward of the front facade of the adjacent homes. Again, in our rendering, which you can see in the bottom of the board that we put up and is also in your packets, page, hold on, let me find it. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. It did not make it into your packets. That's why I printed it on a larger board here. Let me walk here and explain it to you. As viewed from Stockton, this image here, we are planning to put a low brick wall with a brick cap planted on both sides with landscaping, pulling the parking back against a fence, which then creates the border for the pool. Our landscape architect provided a landscape drawing. There'll be climbing roses on the fence line. Again, 3 cypress trees as you meet Stockton. The historic garage will remain, but we are sensitive, again, parking behind the front facade of the adjacent buildings, curb cut on Stockton. The pool will require a variance, as we already mentioned. The historic home will get all new windows, siding, everything updated. There is a new paving pattern or paving plan indicated. The proposed addition does eclipse an existing addition that is on the home already. It is still modest in scale, conforms with all zoning. The roof line will not be seen from Beach Ave. However, from Stockton, you will be able to see this, but we think it's in keeping with the character of the home. The siding will match, the windows will match. Questions?
I'm going to let the group go around the room and question you and make comments.
I have a question.
Of course.
Catherine, you say the addition is modest in scale, and I was looking through all these papers trying to see what the actual square footage was and compare it to the original. And I couldn't find that anywhere, and one of our key design standards is the addition should be subordinate to the original, and it shouldn't compromise the original.
Yes.
So from what I'm seeing, it looks huge.
So if you refer to page A 3.0, which I think you've already passed in your set.
Okay, yeah.
The first floor plan at the bottom of the page, you can see a kind of a heavy dashed line that's on top of the yellow hatch.
Right.
That is existing. So we are merely adding another 10 to 15 feet towards Stockton and about another 5 feet in width. So that is, it's all rendered yellow, but the actual addition is not substantially larger than what's there.
So some of the proposals we've seen give an existing square footage of the property and then an
proposed.
expanded. And that's what I was looking for, because I understand that. pretty
Yeah, relative to the existing structure,
Yeah.
what's the square footage of the addition, I
Right,
think you're
right.
asking?
I think it is roughly 1,200 square feet on 2 floors, although I don't,
1,200 each, or?
No, on-
combined?
1,200 compared to what as the existing?
I do,
Janet,
I don't
page
know that.
10, A10, shows a darkened area that is actually the addition as compared to looking at 30 that makes all the yellow look like an addition.
So
You can see that there's really not that much being built onto the back.
Exactly, and to Mr. Carroll's point, the proposed addition is given in square footage there. It is 616 square feet on the first floor and 646 on the second floor, so roughly 1,200 square
And,
feet.
Right.
and compared to,
The existing home,
mhm.
I don't have that information with me.
That's the basic question.
Okay.
I thought
Yeah.
so.
It's a fair question.
I mean, because it's about the proportion of the addition to the existing. And I realized that this home already had an addition that wasn't particularly important, and then it had an additional sunroom.
Yes.
Which you're planning to take away.
Exactly.
So it does complicate the question.
So the existing home, we believe, is roughly 3,100 square feet. We are demolishing an existing sunroom building, which is 400 square feet.
And in that regard, I just want to make sure that this is, it's a freestanding sun
Right.
thing, sun
It is.
structure thing.
You can see it in
I saw it,
the,
yeah.
in
And
the
so,
images on 2.0.
since it is
Yeah.
small and subordinate, we don't need a demo permit for this, do we, Chris?
Is this the structure that is
The
next
sun-
to the
the sun-
garage?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
like a pool room.
It's freestanding, right?
It is freestanding. There are kind of an odd assortment of wooden panels that touch both the sunroom and the garage. There's storage of some sort, but the sunroom itself is a freestanding, non-contributing structure.
I mean, I think we should, for clarity purposes, if it's coming down, approve the demolition of it, but
We would
I think
appreciate that, yeah.
And, well, this is a conceptual status. But if the ruling is going to be that you need a demolition permit, you know the
Nine.
recitations you need to make for that.
As a non-contributing building, I don't believe that we,
it's not necessarily automatic that you get a demo permit just because it's non-contributing, but just on the face of it, you're probably checking a lot of those boxes. But why don't we see how this discussion goes on the other portions of that? Maybe
Yeah,
we can
that's, I
circle
mean,
back
I
to it.
think we'll have to do that one way or the other. But shall we continue with questions and comments?
I have one at this time.
Kevin, what about you? Aside from the alerts.
The only things that I just wanted to ask questions about quickly are, if you look at the rendering that's on page, sorry, I put it down, I should have just kept my spacing in there. On the front porch, to the right side, that's the part that you're going to reopen, is that
Correct.
Okay.
And there will be new columns to match the existing.
Okay.
When it was enclosed, it appears that some of the columns were sacrificed in the enclosure process.
Right.
So new wood, their Tuscan order columns will replace.
Are you able to determine when it was enclosed?
We're not, it is in the property report. It says that they don't know exactly when, but there is a note in here that says that it was enclosed somewhere in, the house was built in the 1910 to 1920.
Right.
It does not offer when exactly it was
Yeah,
enclosed.
I was just concerned about that, because if it was enclosed during the period of significance, then we have to also consider whether it's something that ought to be preserved, because it was actually,
It was definitely not enclosed when it was built.
yeah. And I don't know that any of us would object to bringing it to the point where it was originally designed, but just asking.
The fenestration pattern that was used would indicate to me that it was not done historically accurately or importantly be maintained. In fact, the doors that will be exposed when the enclosure is taken down are lovely original wooden doors that we plan to keep.
Okay. Kevin is absent. B, you said you had no comments further? Okay, so Janice, have you
I've
asked your questions?
I've asked my question.
Okay. And Lorraine?
Looking at the property report, and there was mention in here about historic 6/1 double hung wood sash windows survive on the main volume first floor, but have been replaced on the second floor, but you stated that you were looking at replacing all of the windows?
The homeowner has mentioned that all the windows have already been replaced. There are actually no existing original historic wood windows in the home.
That's correct.
On the first floor as well?
On the first floor as well.
So that either the property report was incorrect, or it's been done subsequently
Since
to the property report.
2015.
Also should be noted, at least from my review of it, is that you've got a lot of painted triple-track storm windows.
Yes.
Surrounding all those windows that aren't original in the first place. So the replacements would not be covered by storm windows. They would be new wooden windows.
Yes.
As specified in your materials
Exactly.
sheet.
Yes.
I'm
No
sorry,
storm
Lorraine,
windows.
I preempted you.
That's
That
okay.
was it?
Thank
Okay.
you. Just one other thing, maybe, I think some of the confusion as far as the existing square footage and the proposed, having a site or having a floor plan of the existing would be extremely helpful, I think,
Sure.
to some of this.
Thomas?
A very interesting property. There's a few of those up in that area that ran street to street, and even one down between Carpenter's Lane and Hughes Street where, it went all the way through. I know you're going to go for a variance for a swimming pool,
Yeah.
which is almost going to be on Stockton rather than your property. You will find that there might be some real pullback on that. Pools, particularly on houses with either a whole lot of relatives visiting or rentals, the pool can become the entertainment place well into the wee hours. And this one would be much more disturbing the neighbors on Stockton than it would be any grandparents that are trying to sleep in the house that you're building. I'm just wondering if you could pull that pool in and tuck it in your backyard feeling. It's also 16 by 24, which is really quite a large pool for just family use. You could cut down the size of that and make it a little easier. I mean, 24 feet was, like a competitive pool for 6 swimmers, that's a lot of pool. And try to do more when you get to Stockton to make that feel a little bit more like the neighborhood, a little bit more yard or garden or something, hide the cars as much as you can, but, really make that, not take away from that street, and also the enjoyment and the enjoyment of the people that live on that street.
Understood. Unfortunately, we wanted the pool closer to the house. Unfortunately, given the 10-foot required setback around all sides of the pool, I can't pull it closer to the house because the historic garage is there, and I obviously can't move if I could push the historic garage closer to Stockton and put the pool closer to the house, I would, but I don't think that is a feasible plan.
A lot of historic properties have been moved in this town. I don't think moving a garage a little bit closer and having the parking and also kind of block the view of a pool rather than facing the street. I mean, whole houses have been moved around in this town. A garage would, we would never have a problem with a garage. One of the buildings on the back of the Emlyn Physic Estate was behind Elaine's Restaurant, and they wouldn't let it tear down, but they said you have to move it somewhere in Cape May to save it because it's historic. So we moved it all the way down to the Physic Estate, made offices out of it. I don't think you'd have problems saying we could move that garage up, maybe turn the pool around rectangularly that direction, and then have the backyard for other things like the parking that you want.
Understood. Definitely something to consider. Again, I know the homeowner wanted the pool, because it's honestly kind of far from the home. We wanted the pool closer, but we
Well,
certainly talked
it
about
is, and it may be able to reconfigure. I mean, again, since this is a hearing involving now a conceptual application, it means you're going to be returning to us.
Anyway.
And if you want to return to us with a different thought about that, and if we give conceptual approval, it might be included in the comments or recommendations anyway.
And you're going to the zoning board already, it sounds like, anyway. One of the things I'll point out, the criteria for demolition also pertain to relocations, too. So, there could be a combination of a demo of the sunroom thing.
And the relocation of the garage.
The garage could be, there's criteria for both of those things in there.
Okay.
Judy?
Yeah, I would also like to see the existing square footage and the square footage of the addition. I mean, it does really look very large on these drawings. You're not going to demolish the existing addition? That will be incorporated
It will
into the house?
It will be encapsulated on 2 sides by the new addition.
Because
we
if you're going to
weren't-
take it down, that means that that's going to be included in the new addition.
Yeah, we weren't planning to honestly take it down. That's why it's rendered the way it
Okay.
is. We did leave the existing wall in
So
place.
it's an
on purpose.
encapsulation with the internal
Exactly.
changes.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you always do a beautiful job. I mean, the renderings are really helpful for me. The only 2 design elements I would point out is the patterning on the chimney is not consistent with a Craftsman style. We're seeing that a lot in Cape May. I think it's a pattern we should probably not keep
Perpetuating.
repeating all over town. I also think the white paneling on the side elevation is also not consistent with Craftsman in any way. The recessed paneling. Here.
Yes, on A3.4, understood. Okay. It's actually on both sides of the house.
Right here, this paneling has nothing to do with Craftsman style. I mean, it is a cottage. Like I said, I think the renderings really help me in support of this addition because I think it looks quite nice. We also have a key contributing house on one side. Right?
Yes.
That's a key contributing house. This is going to affect the streetscape somewhat. But I think it's sensitively rendered. I like the opening of the front porch. So next time you come back, just let's confirm that the addition isn't larger than the original structure.
Yes, understood.
Thank you.
Okay, my comments. First of all, on a technical sense, I want to thank you for a very, very complete material sheet. You always do a good job of specifying exactly what you're going to do, how it's going to be built, and then showing us the cut sheets and pictures of it. Some of these are so many, you want to say Exhibit A, B, C, D, and they're all in the drawings. But thank you for a very, very complete material sheet. I think that while this addition is not small, it is not overwhelming the overall status of the property, the size of the structure, and it is in the back. It is differentiated. I'm also helped by the fact that this is a narrow lot. So when you consider what's seen from the streetscape, the narrowness of the spaces between the buildings makes it far harder to see an addition. So I give points for that versus the size, which I think is on the large side, but it's still subordinate enough. So I could support the idea of putting an addition on as you've done so. I think that the movement back to expose the front with the symmetrical columns is the way the house was built and ought to be brought back to that status. It will benefit by that instead of looking a little cockeyed off to the side. It's a little eclectic, but not particularly pleasing from the symmetrical standpoint. Not much to say about the windows, other than if they're all replaced and they're all covered with storms, it's nothing better than doing an all-wood replacement of modern, efficient windows, which are going to look presumably like a cut sheet
Yes,
says
and
they.
the mullion pattern will be what it was 6/1.
Yeah.
So
So
we plan to
that's,
replicate what's there.
so that's good. And then with all the gyrations in the back, it seems to me that it's really a good suggestion to have a look at that garage and what might be done to move it, relocate or reconfigure or reduce the size of the pool. And that would, I think, improve the backside of this. And whether there is or is not a need for a demolition permit, it's probably a good idea to be prepared to come and support that. I don't think there's anybody who's going to deny you that permit, and I know you'll make the case for it. So having said all that, with the points that were made here about the various aspects of things that could be added in panels and the rest of the matters, I would say we could entertain a motion for conceptual approval.
Can I just make one quick comment?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to step out again with the fire department call. The group did come and see us on the Tuesday meeting, and just a couple of things that we noted. One was the restoration of the porch to its original historic accuracy. We thought that should be applauded. It's a sensitive addition using similar materials and, tucked behind the house. So that all seemed to meet, our standards and requirements. We did not consider moving the garage, so I have to say that.
Yeah, that's in the context of our conceptual discussion here
Goes to show
tonight.
you that, there's always good things to come out of groups. And, but we did think that the way they handled the parking in the back was pretty sensitive as well, that it tucks back in there. There's plantings around it. I mean, it's very similar to, in a sense, what Lemaire did, if you will, concealing the parking. So there was a lot of good things in this project that we saw, and the replacement of the windows made sense to us. So all those kinds of things, I just wanted to point out, those were all talked about at the.
Yeah, I mean, the application has a lot of merit to it, and before we proceed to do any actual motions or voting, I'm going to ask once again, is there anybody here from the public who would like to speak to address this application? Okay, hearing none.
Mr. Chairman, could I just add
Yep,
something
please.
here? I did hear some comments about the pool and the garage and things like that. I just want to, I think the time to address that or suggest retooling of that is now and not at a final, because what they're going to want to do is get a conceptual, and the concept would be the front of the house, the pool goes here, the garage goes here, the parking goes here. That's what they're going to present to the zoning board. And the arrangement of that is really key to that application. And I don't think it benefits anybody to be ping-ponging back and forth from those boards. So before this proceeds out of conceptual, the concept of where this pool is, where that parking is, where that garage is to remain should be, at least a majority should be on the same page about that. If we don't have a majority, we should have that discussion now and give the applicant an opportunity to kind of address that further, if it needs to be addressed.
And that's fine. I mean, my approach to this would have been to write you a conceptual approval with the various conditions and locations and suggestions that go into conceptual. But if it's necessary to poll the board.
That could be flushed out in a motion too, but I just wanted to put that out there that, it's conceptual, but they're going to be taking that conceptual and making a presentation to the zoning board too. So I just want to make sure that we, have a
Do we have any,
consensus on
do we have any members here who object to an attempt to reconfigure the back by turning the pool and moving the garage? Is that,
I guess the question is, it's obviously a fair amount of additional expense. Is that something you find acceptable?
I'd have to discuss
Yeah, we would have to.
internally.
We found
And
it acceptable as it is, as proposed, so I just want to point out that, we would certainly find it acceptable to move the garage.
yeah, and some of us would also, but if it's,
I think that's the question is, do we feel so strongly that it has to be moved?
And look,
Good point.
the discussion could be, it's tabled for a month for them to evaluate the practicality or the design of that, and they may come back and say, you know what, we thought about it, slicing the onion this way, and it didn't work. And at least the question was asked in the discussion, and the HPC heard the analysis of that.
what is your time frame with respect to the, you just advised you need a
We were
variance,
just
right?
advised on Friday that we need to go before the variance board, so I still came here because we come to you before we go there.
Certainly.
So to your point, the variance, nothing has been submitted, but
What's the
we
usual
were
lead
intending to
time
move
percent?
forward with the plan as presented tonight, pending your comments.
I would like to take another look at it, frankly.
And if they can't, in other words, if we did do what I just suggested, which is just tabling it for a month, give the applicant an opportunity to think about these questions, and the answer may be, from their standpoint, we're good with what we submitted, and here's why we thought about it. And the board can hear that too. It doesn't sound like it's going to slow them down one bit, because they're not waiting to be heard next month and waiting for the HPC's feedback. It's only going to take a month.
It would probably be better than for you to table this with us and have the further thoughts about where you want to go.
I think that would be preferable to table it, because I don't know that we are able to make that final
And
decision
you,
right
and you
now.
may,
So we
for
appreciate
example,
your
because of the cost situation, you may say, look, even if you told me I could do this, I don't want to take the expense of moving the historic garage and all the other things that are going with, although you are doing substantial.
We are planning
Restoration.
to restore the exterior of it and replace the 4 windows that are in it, but the interior of the garage was going to remain
Yeah.
as is. But yes, we were planning to
We-
all new
you-
finishes.
You could, I mean, under those circumstances, the time isn't such that you would be prejudiced with respect to your application to the zoning board if you had another month or so
I think
to
that would be fine.
chew
for
this
us
over.
To regroup. I would also confer with the idea that moving it might make our variance application go better if I'm not in fact putting a pool streetward of a building. So I could definitely hear that argument, but we'd need to draw it and take a look at it. So we would appreciate the ability to table the conversation.
And let's do that, right?
I would
So-
agree that it could really help you before the zoning board.
It could.
Because some of their biggest headaches and pains have been neighbors, swimming pools, and, noise. So maybe if that got tucked in a little bit more, and their side yards are going to be more of the garage and the parking, I think you would find the zoning board would probably have fewer people and be more apt to go along with exactly what you're looking at.
And I think you know that when you come in front of us and get a conceptual approval, that approval is taken to the other board.
Yes, I have been to your zoning board for a swimming pool before.
And I also don't know if a proposal to demolish the sunroom, relocate the garage, if approved, I think the garage is related to the historic district, the sunroom is not.
Correct.
If the HPC were to approve that, and you were to have a plan for a pool in between those two relocated garage and the addition to the house, maybe there's a way that you don't need to ask for relief. I don't know the answer to that, but it's worth exploring is
I
the reason for
asked
that.
the zoning officer that very question, and he said, no, you still need a variance.
Got it, okay. Well,
Variance.
there's the
Variance,
answer.
we shall go.
Someone with authority has spoken on
Well,
that issue.
that's why I always say, ask the zoning
I asked
officer.
that very question, if I put a building between the pool and the street, and he said, nope, you still need a variance.
Okay.
So that's fine.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty tough.
Still,
So-
still worth exploring, though.
Absolutely.
And just for clarity of the record, the applicant would be requesting to table indefinitely, waiving the time for decision. So we wouldn't make a decision on this tonight, but what that would allow you to do is stay in queue, retool it, come back with some more information, and we can consider it whenever you're ready, and you can say, hey, can we be put back on the agenda?
Yeah, and while this may say that it's tabled indefinitely, we really know the time frame you're talking
We
about.
would plan to be back next month, but we would let Lauren know and get back on your agenda.
I just want to point out to the board, I was a little concerned about relocating a historic garage that's mentioned in the property report, but we do have a page on relocation. It says that it can be considered.
And we would relocate it within the same property. We certainly didn't
No, we
intend
didn't
to
think you were gonna
remove
take
it
it
from the
across
property.
town.
And there are
Absolutely.
standards here. It just says, select a site with similar characteristics, and it'll be in the rear. So I think my fears have been allayed by that.
Does your garage have the typical foundation of a garage, like cement and then just walls around?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's tapered with a French string, like a drain in the middle.
Yeah. There's no basement underneath
There is
of
no
that,
basement, no,
or
just-
bomb shelter or
No,
anything?
it's on slab. You never know, but no, it's to be on
I
slab.
think it would be Cape May's only garage with a bomb shelter. but- Okay, may I have a motion to table this application, please?
I'll make that.
All right, made by Mr. Carroll, second by Ms. Saito. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Carroll?
Yes.
Ms. Pisagno?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson Stridick?
Yes.
Ms. Decker?
Yes.
Mr. Hammerin? Yes. Mr. Testa?
Yes.
Thank you for
We
your time.
we look forward to the further progress of this project.
We'll be back
Thanks.
next month.
Okay, that concludes our applications, and there were no people commenting from the public on the specific applications, but is there anyone from the public here who would like to make public comment on any other issue, whether it be business of the commission or anything else?
I wanted to talk about the pedestrian bridge.
You just put your name and address on the record, please?
Sure, it's.
Turn on the, is it green?
It's green.
Okay, thank you.
Can you hear me now? It's Wilma Ballant, 113 First Avenue, and we also own the home on 111 First Avenue, so next door. First, I just wanted to thank you guys. I've never been to one of these. I've been doing a lot of research on everything you do, and it's amazing, the time and attention. So thank you for all of that. Also, I'm representing a lot of our neighbors, so we're all thanking you, and thank you for having the heat on tonight. Just wanted to point out a couple things. I know everyone was concerned about lighting, and I did have a chance to look at your historical designs. I was just putting out there that there is a gas line right in front of our house, perhaps a gas lamp similar to some of the standards that you guys have mentioned on page 41 could be considered. I don't know about LED lighting. just light pollution and noise pollution, I wanted to call to your attention. There's 3 gas lamps already on the street, so it would be consistent. Noise pollution, just listening to you speak about the pools and neighbors. I mean, our home is obviously the first one. The bridge is basically letting out in front of our house. So I know we're hoping to not have electric bikes on it. I don't know how that will be policed, but bikes going over bridge slats, no matter how exotic the wood is going to be quite noisy. So I'm wondering, is there a chance for some other type of material to be considered versus wood slats and bike tires? You can imagine, especially once the next bike path gets built, the constant noise. So further amplified by the fact that it's over water and open. So just, playing devil's advocate and putting some ideas out there, things for you guys to think about. And then maintenance. We have an empty lot next to us that my husband is constantly working on the Phragmites. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone's aware of just how intense the landscape maintenance would have to be. And I know we have 2 amazing groups working on it, but I don't know. There's constantly vines growing. There's a wooden fence that basically says, like, no outlet. And we're constantly cutting back the vines on it. So I don't know how that's going to work when it's weaving in between a steel structure. So I know it's the greater good, and we want everyone to be safe, but I just want to bring out some ideas, things for you guys to think about or consider. So that's all I have to say.
Well, thank you for that. And I think you were not here when the presentation was made by the...
I was, but there was no offer to speak, so I thought maybe it would be at the end.
Did I not ask people to...
No.
Not for that
Oh,
one.
then you
But
have
the
my...
whole thing
you
was
have
very
my-
informative.
You have my
so I'm-
sincere apologies for that.
That's okay, I learned a lot.
And I'm sorry you didn't raise your arm and wave it around, but I will say that that we're going to be doing an advisory report to the city, and we could mention and will mention some of the things that were done tonight with respect to the lighting, for example. And so that...
Electric bikes.
And yeah.
Electric bikes, right.
Yeah.
So some of those things that you mentioned would be included in the advisory report.
I don't know if there's any other bridges that have been built. I mean, we've obviously been on the walkways. We use the Mount Vernon entrance, which is phenomenal. But it's different when a bike's going over wooden slats versus pedestrian. So if it was
Yeah.
just pedestrian traffic, it would be different. But I think it's going to be quite noisy.
And it could be, and I would also say that since there is a Cape May portion of this project, and Cape May is doing it cooperatively, West Cape May, nothing precludes you from contacting our city manager and making your
Yes,
points
they've been
known.
extremely responsive, and we have talked to them, and we're meeting again this week. But this wasn't anything that, like, we could have voted on, or, it's the greater good. So I feel like the project's been moving along, and we're kind of, grabbing an ear at the 11th hour. We've been trying to, Paul's been awesome, so we're going to have some time with them this week, but I saw this on the agenda, and I was like, I'm driving down after work.
Well, no, we certainly appreciate it. And again, I apologize for not soliciting public comment when we actually had the advisory opinion in front of us.
No, it was fabulous being here, and we truly appreciate all you do, so thank you. It was very informative, so.
So suddenly, my part-time job, our chairman will be back for next meeting.
Mr. Chair.
You need to
I
go
wrote
somewhere
down-
warm.
I wrote down notes as well, so I'll be taking that back, and you're going to be meeting with Paul
Yes.
and the group, but we'll doubly mention this to him.
And since this gets followed up by an advisory report, they'll be included in the report.
In the report as well.
Yeah.
I think
Are
some of
there
the,
any- excuse me, I'm sorry. Are there any existing bridges? Anything that would have a solid surface that they?
The only thing, if you go on the back of Convention Hall, it's the same wood that's going to be used on this bridge. That's actually bolted down. I haven't, It's a dense wood,
It is.
so.
Did they go for the?
And it's
EPA?
beautiful, and it's quite expensive.
Yeah.
But
I'm
it's
not
still gonna
sure
be
about the
healthy.
noise of that.
I know what you're thinking of, because I'm thinking of the same thing, like, on,
If
for
I
having a
could roll
bike on
my
the
Rs, I would
Ocean
make
City
noise.
Boardwalk, like
Yeah.
that feeling. I think the goal is to make it more of a smoother, heavier wood surface, like the one that's up at Convention Hall. But I think two things, based on your comments, and in addition to being the HPC solicitor, I'm also the city solicitor, so I'm hearing this from both sides of my head. But I think the material is something that is a concern, and they want to make sure that it's, going to be able to accommodate the type of uses that are present there, but they're really not looking to invite a range of, you heard bollards, they want to keep EV vehicles off these things. And the city already has a set of robust regulations for electric scooters and EV bicycles and things like that, to really keep it low impact for those types of areas. We, believe it or not, I mean, you're not supposed to have electric bikes up on the promenade right now. That's already on the books. So I think it's gonna be a little bit of, let's see how it goes up there, but there's also, I think, an opportunity to collaborate with West Cape May on the rules of the road for this new project, so that people have good expectations as to how it's supposed to be used. And you heard the city manager, I don't think they're putting benches or lookout towers or anything out there. It's
Right.
to get from A to B safely. That's the goal. And to the extent that can be as quietly as possible, I think the city has every interest in promoting that as well.
I agree. I just think we've all seen the increase in electric bikes. I mean, whether or not it's prohibited and how it's managed remains to be seen. A bollard's not going to stop that. It will stop a golf cart, and I think that was the purpose of it. But again, just some of the existing neighbors were concerned mostly with noise pollution, light pollution, and maintenance, because, there's going to be, especially if it connects, we're going to be seeing a pretty big volume. So just wanted to speak for the masses, and thank you for your time.
Well, we will write our advisory report, but there's, as I said, nothing that precludes you from staying in touch with the city administration as the project proceeds in order to make your views known.
Great, thank you. We appreciate
Thank you for your comments.
Mr. Chair, can I just add to that? When you meet with the city management things, they'll probably guarantee you that there'll be signs at either end that say, bicyclers dismount and walk your bike, which would be right for two ways and only 10 feet, and pedestrians, baby carriages, all kinds of things. So I would just say, from experience that bikes don't pay attention to all the rules.
Right.
So we really have to make sure that that's a solid base on there to hold the noise down.
I didn't think that they were going to have folks dismount when I watched the video from the last.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Well,
yes.
that's why I'm saying the riders will not do it.
No, I didn't even think it was going to be requested. I think they're
Yeah.
assuming.
It's
and,
not. It's
the
not.
bikes,
It's
too.
10 foot wide, which adheres to all of the regulations, where you can have foot passengers as well as bikes riding across.
Right. Yeah. And, we all know what it's like when you're going to the beach and you're on bikes, if you have the trailer and your beach chairs and things like that. So, I mean, the noise is going to be, definitely enhanced. But thank you all.
Thank you. So there is, I take it, no further public comment open to the public.
Anybody else want to
discussion?
speak? Can you please step up the microphone? Thank you. Name and address for the record again, please.
Catherine Healy, owner of 230 Grant Street, 236 Grant Street, and 248 Grant Street. Lauren, I was to be on the schedule to speak regarding siding. John, I called you on December 7th after I met with him. He met with us at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning, and then I called you to be put on the schedule, and I couldn't get on the I couldn't get on the January 12th because it was past the deadline. And we have a question regarding the siding, and did John discuss this with you? Because John couldn't make a comment. It had to go through the whole board. Okay, Lauren, do you remember us having that conversation?
So I do vaguely remember that. Anything that's going to come to the full commission, I did follow up with an email, we always require an application to be submitted.
Yeah.
We can't just hear an
With
application
copies,
without
many
any-
copies.
Because all the full commission needs to be able to see
So
all the
excuse me, this-
materials.
I just flew up from Florida just for this meeting, and I'm very unaware, and I apologize because John said to me, get in touch with Lauren, have her put you on the February 9th meeting, because January 2nd, this meeting happened January 7th. So I apologize, because I'm typically a very good, follow through. I did not know it had to be in writing.
well, I mean, you've been before us before. And I mean, this is, I take it, if I understand what you're saying, is you spoke with the chair, and he said this needed to be a presentation in front of the full commission.
Correct.
A hearing in front of.
And it wasn't, it's a issue regarding the siding for 230 Grant Street.
I think I understand what you're saying. You probably an application that usually would be approved in review, but if the review committee or the chairman has any doubts and it's not approved or denied, it's just, hey, look, I want another set of eyes on this. In the code, it can be referred to the full board. So what would, the thing that you would have to do is make sure that you submitted an application for approved in review, and if it can't be approved there, it's routed here. Did you already submit an application, a formal application?
Yeah, well, I also have compliances, and I asked for this meeting on site for him to see, because we put the piece on the building. So he came to look at.
Is it an amendment to an approved, did we approve?
Yes, we have two approvals. We
have
have an approval.
resolutions.
Yes, we have resolutions. We have approval that goes back to July 15th of '24. That's the notice of conceptual approval. We also have certificate of appropriateness. And we gave cut sheets and all the information regarding this siding.
Right, so, but I mean, it sounds to me like what you're talking about is a change or an amendment to an existing resolution that differs from the resolution. You're trying to get something additional.
No, well, here's the situation. Could I just have a sample of the material? We had the cut sheets. We've done everything by the book.
No, I understand, and you have a resolution and a certificate.
Yes, and actually, at your meeting on January 12th, you approved this material to be used on St. James Place.
Well, not on some other application, but what do we approve in this case? And then you're saying you want
Okay.
to do something different.
This is a material.
You came in for there was some sort of vinyl thing, right?
Well, it's the siding. It has a wood grain to it. And-
Kevin, can you put on your microphone, please?
So this is for one of your properties on Grant Street, right?
The home under construction, we really need to get the siding up.
So it's it's a new structure, non-contributing.
Correct.
Okay, and now.
We met with John on the Tuesday meeting. It was done on a Wednesday morning because that was what was appropriate for John.
So that was a private meeting with him, yep, okay.
Right.
John's individual.
John would have met with you on Tuesday. On
Right.
Wednesday, he would have taken his.
Yeah, he had family in town, so it was pushed to Wednesday.
Okay.
And Lauren was aware of that.
Okay, so now
Coordinate.
what you're asking is to substitute this material for whatever was originally approved, or this is what you're proposing to use for the.
This was originally approved. The problem is it has a wood grain. And we have an argument why we want to use this, because we can't get the same material flat.
That's usually it. Normally, when we do a vinyl siding, it has to be a
Smooth.
flat surface. It's
Yeah.
not a.
Because the
grain
grains
or
are
like-
awful.
That's right.
Well-
They don't look real.
Right, but there's a whole reason for this material, and I have the experts with me to explain it. And what John explained to me was that I needed to come to the full committee, that we
would not-
couldn't do it in a subcommittee.
And the reason for that is simply, we would not have approved that based on it being an exception, which would have then set a precedent for the full commission. So we would have said to you, I don't remember this, so I.
Right, and
But the idea would be, if we're going to put in a different material, the whole commission should see that, not just the review committee.
Look, this is public comment, and I'm glad you're making those comments, but you have something you want us to decide. And to decide, you need to put it in writing, and it needs to go through the process of either being done by our review committee, and if it can't be done by the review committee, it'll be done by all of us together. But we can't make a decision from a public comment period.
I understand that,
you
and
know-
I have to apologize because John did not say to me, Kathy, I called Lauren on the phone and said, could we get on the meeting docket we couldn't get on for the 12th of January.
So
It was the 7th of January.
this is now
And
for a meeting.
Lauren said, yes, I've put you on the committee for this meeting. And I apologize that,
Respectfully, Mrs. Healy, you know I was the secretary for years.
Mm-hmm.
On behalf of Lauren, unless you submit a packet for a full commission meeting with the fee, you can't be heard by this board. We
Well-
can't make a decision.
but it was already approved, like, I'm just,
Ms. Healy,
back.
Ms. Healy,
Okay,
I'll
no
give you
prob-
an example, and I don't know what confusion led us to tonight, but I will tell you that routinely, we have people that get final approval for new construction, things like that, and they decide midway, they say, oh, I'd really like to do this, or this came up and I want to do that.
right, this,
They come in and they say, hey, you approve this, and we want to review this component, and we review a packet. It's an application
Okay.
material, and however we didn't get that tonight, it can be fixed, but it's not
Okay.
going to be fixed tonight. We just need to
yeah. go ahead.
submit it and present it.
So what I would suggest is,
My house is, like, the wood's been up for a long time, and I'm, like, dying all the moisture that's getting in. So I'll be back, and hopefully I can be back next month. The date of next month's meeting
I
is,
think we can tell you that if you submit the right packet with the supporting materials, you'll be on the docket, but not for February 9th, but for the March meeting.
and what is the date of the next meeting, please?
Look at our schedule. It's the
We're
third.
always the third
third
Monday of the.
Okay, great.
Except for
When there's
President's Day
holidays.
weekend, Christmas. and-
March 16th.
So
Good.
there is
I'll see you on March 16th.
Plenty of time to get
Okay.
your written packet
Yeah.
together and come to us just like you've done before.
Right, no problem. I apologize.
There's nothing to apologize for.
Well, I like to do things and do them right, and that's why I'm here doing it this way. But thank you. I appreciate Cape May very much.
We will hear you in March, and I imagine that this is a pretty narrow thing that we can decide pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I hope John will be here, so that will help.
So do I.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, just a quick question. Regarding the application, it
I'm
goes to.
sorry, you are?
So my name is Mateus Medeiros. I'm the contractor. Regarding the application, you said it goes to a review stage, and can a decision be made in that review stage, or does it come directly to a full board?
If the material is acceptable strictly under the standards without any interpretation, yes. So you may be able to present some, in the next Tuesdays between now and the formal meeting of the board, if you present a material that just strictly meets the standards, well, that's the issue.
That's what I
See, I mean,
understand.
that's
Yeah,
really the way we
I just want
work.
to get an understanding.
If it can be done in a weekly review committee meeting.
Understood. That's
Because
what I
it
just wanna-
conforms right with the standards, it goes like that.
If you have another idea how to solve this problem between now and March, by all means, bring it to the review committee.
Oh, perfect.
You know what I mean? Like,
Supporting documents and stuff, as I.
well, I'm saying if it's not that material or something else and
Understood.
something
Okay,
clicks, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you
I get it,
can
I get it.
try something else. But if you want to stick with that and come to the board, it sounds like that initial
Yeah.
review's already been done, so it requires the full board.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yep.
See you in March.
See you in March.
Okay. There seems to be no more public here to make further public comments, but shall we, let's open and close public comment period, so it's closed now. Remaining for discussion are a couple of items, but particularly the most recent being the progress on the Historic Preservation Awards. And I'd like Janice to bring us up to date on the past weekend and the progress and the upcoming.
Well, I just want to
course.
say thanks to the committee and our jurors. Despite the terrible weather, we had our site visit. It was very successful. I'm compiling the juror comments, and tomorrow we'll have our committee meeting and talk about their decisions. We had made it clear to the jurors that we would abide by their decisions, and we asked them for comments on every property. And we asked them to award a winner in each category if there was an appropriate one. And also to note any that would warrant commendation. So I can tell you that out of the 16 properties, there are 4 winners and 6 commendations. And there's lots of good material in the comments. The jurors included Dorothy Guzzo, who's a longtime Historic Trust and SHPO head and has been doing this forever and making decisions about funding for historic preservation, especially commercial and tax credit. Joan Berkey, who had written many of the early surveys, and then Stephen Smolin, who's done our design. So they combined a breadth of understanding of New Jersey architecture with a very good, intimate understanding of Cape May and our history from the time, really, when we started doing surveys. So in some ways, this is like free survey review, because I found it educational. When they called me back to tell me what their decisions were, they said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Well, I'm surprised. I can't wait to read your comments." We also have gotten the applications for the Stewardship and Leadership Awards up on the website and in the office, and that's a call for public nominations. And the committee is real hands-off on this. We're not going to encourage people to, we want to keep it blind and we want to keep it fair. And also, we would love to have people really embrace this idea and either nominate themselves or nominate a property or an organization that they believe in. And there was one other thing on my list.
You had mentioned that you got some useful comments with respect to preventive actions that might need to be taken in order to maintain contributing status and some
I
sort
think
of free advice in
when
that.
we read their comments, I think everyone on the commission will understand, because these are properties we've approved over the last three or 4 years. And of all the approved properties, these were the 16 we felt were the most likely to get an award. So if they had reservations about something that caused them, like in some cases they put, "This was a great contender, but," and I am trying to edit it to be as diplomatic as possible. And they are diplomatic because there were good things about every property that was nominated. Also, Casey has put together the calendar, which I believe will be available digitally and also printed, and it has a good write-up about the awards, and it has the May 13th event listed on the calendar. So that's out
Keep our
there.
dates,
So what we're looking at now at the meeting is just progressing with the stewardship leadership process. They will be dropping off their packets to Lauren. Lauren will keep us abreast, and by April, well, they're due by March 31st. So if you, as commissioners who aren't on the committee, can nominate people, and you can tell friends to nominate people, and we encourage you to do that. But the committee will be the jurors, and we want to keep our hands off of it. And we want to look at these nominations without looking at who made the nomination. So, did I,
And-
Judy? or-
Yeah, and just one more thing, just to encourage the public to, whoever's listening, to encourage the public to submit, go online. You can download the application online and then submit anybody for the Stewardship or Leadership Awards.
Yes, it's on the banner. Lorraine
Yeah.
caught that, to put it on the banner. So you can just click on the banner and get the information about the awards and how to submit. And we tried to make the submission as
Where is it?
simple as
As
possible.
soon as you go on.
It's not like applying for a commission review.
No, which as we know, can be pretty difficult overall, or fast, depending on whether you're on the docket.
And I
or
think
not.
Lorraine's ordered the plaques.
They're ordered.
And the jurors had, they had some good suggestions. They said the process was really well done. We did not have a recap after they were done this time, but they thought that would be, John thought it would take them longer. I thought it would take them a couple hours, but, and that's right. They really were very efficient about it.
Well, I
So-
mean, these are people who have vast.
They have a lot of experience, and we also gave them great packets.
They did their research ahead of time. You could tell when we met with them.
Right.
First thing in the morning, before they went out. They knew what they were looking at, what they were looking for.
No, you chose well.
But I think if we did this exactly this way, and I don't know if we'll decide that we're going to do the building awards every year, I think it might be a stretch. It's probably 2 or 3. They did suggest that there were so many contenders in the first category, which was preservation, restoration, rehabilitation, and reconstruction, to separate that into 2 categories. Because preservation and restoration are kind of related, and then rehabilitation or reconstruction are kind of related. And so, because there aren't going to be a lot of adaptive reuse in Cape May, and we really were very scant in that category. But getting together at the end as a group of committee members to have feedback with them, they thought that would be good. And they're all looking forward to, John mentioned a gathering before the event on the 13th, so they're looking.
Well, as you know, this commission is a good party commission.
Yeah.
So we're
There we go.
well known for showing our appreciation that way. And I just want to say, on behalf of the rest of us who haven't participated directly in this, that this has really been a fine project. And I think it's a significant, and it justifies having an awards committee to go on with this. I'm someone who was skeptical at first, and I've come around to believe that this is a really important way of integrating us into the community in a kinder and gentler and much more.
And we do have one under 50 member, and I think it's a great way to bring community members in and get them involved to be future commissioners.
Yeah, it's a good way. It's really got a good path to it. So that concludes, right, your remarks on this?
That's it.
Kevin, do you have something to add to about the signage situation?
There is, we were asked by the city to see if we had the interest of a couple of members to participate in a look at the public signage in town. And you know, the way this got started was we were asked to take a look at the signage on the mall, specifically at the ends of the mall, and you'll see all kinds of different signage. There's metal signage, there's wooden signage, there's raised letters, there's not raised letters.
Right.
It's all over the board. And then you have, you know, the public signage as well, as you drive around, everything from, I guess, speed signs to, you know, whatever. And so the question was asked of us, you know, it seems logical we'd want to standardize the signage in some way, and make it historically significant and appropriate as well, so that, you know, it kind of is consistent with the character of Cape May. And, you know, so anyway, John asked if I would sit on that with him, and I think there was someone else that he asked to sit on. I don't remember who that was now, but we have not had a meeting yet. The first meeting is scheduled in kind of like towards the end of March, I think it is. And, you know, I'll certainly, or John, I assume, will let you, provide updates.
I'm sure he'll come up with an update on it as we progress through. And it's always good to have Lorraine sitting on something, because then it gets a second shot at the city council level. So,
There is, I'm just going to do my own little piece here, and that's, I'd love to see a similar level of interest in the streetlights in the town. I just think that, we really don't think about those much. And, we have the historic streetlight that, I think all of us know, some are gas, some have been electrified. And it kind of goes back to even the discussion we had about the bridge. It's hard to see in this town. Like if you go to, as my wife and I do, we go to the Chalfont, for the Thursday night of, music. And coming back, we walk, and, we go through a lot of dark areas that you really can't see, which in turn makes us decide we're going to walk in the street because the condition of the sidewalks, is a tripping hazard sometimes. And I would just say, I cannot think of a town that has a historic character like Cape May that does not have a signature light post. And we don't. And I hope at some point the city takes an interest in developing something like that.
Okay, I think it's probably only left for me to remind everybody that we're getting ready to align, and that's coming up on the 26th, if I recollect properly, so hopefully everybody will be there. Management will have to see to the food and drink to be sure that we're all well enough fed, but everybody's hopefully going to be there on the 26th.
Does the alignment need to be advertised?
Yes,
Is it-
yes.
it's
Okay,
closed
just,
to the public meeting.
housekeeping, I want to make sure that that's.
It's a special meeting.
Yep, okay.
I told John I would go together with him on the food and drink for the meeting. So you'll probably be getting something from me asking for what kind of sandwiches you want. What's your favorite drink, non-alcoholic?
Always, as was said in Dickens' A Christmas Carol, one can always attend if a luncheon is provided. So, all right, so I think that really concludes, unless anybody's got anything else to bring up for the night.
In that alignment, we have time to talk about standards that should really be modified. Because, and I'll use the example of tonight, the one with the solar panels. It's almost, at some level, it's almost impossible to get a solar panel approved in this town, simply because the streets are so, tight that you really can see something almost.
Yeah, I mean, largely, we've seen things on large public buildings, and they're well hidden because they're tall and tall. But it is difficult to not see something.
Perhaps a compromise might be that it's on the street facing, front of the house, face of the house.
And we have questions about the standards and visibility, for example, in other ways. Okay, but may I call us for a motion for adjournment so we can, so.
Second.
All right. Meeting